She woke up once again, with her heart racing. The clock on the wall read 5:30 a.m., but for her, that moment felt like the beginning of a new nightmare. Her eyes were open, but the sensation of being crushed by something invisible and immense still lingered. It was as if the weight of the world were pressing down on her shoulders. A simple, deep breath was already a challenge, and the fear of dying, like a ghost, never left her alone. Her name was Clara. She was 26 years old, had a whole life ahead of her, and was silently battling something few people understood: panic disorder. It was a constant fight, waged behind the scenes of her life, something no one could see, but which she felt every second, every gasping breath, every twitch of nervousness that made her body tremble uncontrollably. Clara had always been an optimistic girl, with dreams of traveling the world and writing books about her experiences. But suddenly, life seemed to trap her in a cage of uncertainties and fears. Panic attacks began 2 years ago, without explanation, as if her body had decided, overnight, to rebel against her. The first attack was terrifying. In the middle of a work meeting, she felt dizzy, short of breath, and nearly fainted. When taken to the hospital, the doctors found nothing physically wrong, but the fear of dying didn't leave her. With each new attack, the fear grew stronger. She no longer knew when the next one would strike. It could happen on the street, at work, on the bus, even at home, when she was alone in the quiet of the night. The thought that something bad was always lurking, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself, kept her on constant alert. "I can't live like this," Clara thought, as her eyes filled with tears. "I can't die like this." It wasn't death itself that she feared. It wasn't the end of life, but the process, the loss of control, the suffering that came with the fear. Until one day, while walking down the street, Clara felt the familiar knot in her stomach, the rapid beating of her heart, the cold sweat. An attack was coming. She felt the desperation to return home, but something stopped her from running. She looked around, trying to control her breathing, trying not to succumb to that invisible monster. That's when something unexpected happened. A soft, yet firm voice interrupted her frantic thoughts. "Are you okay?" Clara looked up and saw a woman standing before her. She looked ordinary, maybe a bit older, with white hair and a serene expression. The woman was smiling gently, as if she was waiting for Clara to respond. I don't think so," Clara said, her voice trembling. "Are you scared?" the woman asked, as if she already knew the answer. Clara hesitated, but the words came out like a breath. "Yes, I'm scared of dying. Scared that something bad will happen, and I won't be able to handle it." The woman smiled once more, with a sweetness that seemed to calm the space around them. "I understand. I've been through that too, but let me tell you something. The fear of dying will never go away. But what we can do is learn to live with it. We can learn to breathe even when fear is hovering around us." Clara looked at her, incredulous. "How do you mean?" "Death is something we all will have to face someday. But as long as we are here, alive, we have a choice. We can let fear consume us, or we can learn to live with it, not let it dictate our lives. Panic, fear, they're just emotions. They don't define who you are." Those words stayed with Clara throughout the day. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but something inside her sparked. Maybe the woman was right. Maybe the fear would never go away, but that didn't mean she was condemned to live in its grip forever, suffering through every panic attack. In the following days, Clara began to try what the woman had suggested. When the fear came, she allowed herself to feel it, but she didn't surrender to it. When she felt like she was going to faint, she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and reminded herself that she was alive. And as long as she was alive, she could learn to manage her fears. With every small step forward, Clara felt stronger. She began to realize that fear, when faced head-on, didn't have as much power over her. Panic was no longer the invisible monster that haunted her, but something she could understand and deal with. It wasn't easy, but she was determined to try. Several weeks later, Clara found herself walking down the street again when she saw the woman. This time, she smiled as she saw her. There was no longer panic in her eyes. "I'm trying," Clara said with a shy smile. The woman smiled back. "That's all you can do. Try." And so, Clara learned to live with the fear, not in the way she had imagined, but in a more peaceful way. She still had moments of insecurity, but now she knew that fear wasn't a death sentence. It was just a part of life, and she was learning to live with it. While panic still came from time to time, Clara had learned to embrace her vulnerability, to accept it as part of her journey. And little by little, her fear of dying lost its grip, because she understood that living, even with fear, was the real triumph. The end.